So when it comes to vectors, magnitude and direction are both important. Take displacement, for example. Direction is important. Here are three successive displacements. We go to the right 2 meters, positive 2. Then we go to the right 5 meters. And then we go to the left 3 meters because it's negative. Now it's possible to draw a single displacement which would equal the sum of individual displacements. That's represented here by the delta x total, it's called. It's two ways of getting to the same point. So one person could take this path of +2, +5, and then -3 and end up at a particular location. Or somebody could just take the red path and end up at that same location. So let's calculate the sum of all the individual displacements. It would be 2 meters I plus 5 meters I minus 3 meters I, which takes us to 4. And so the total displacement is actually just the combination of those. It is 4 meters I. And do both of the above options take an object to the same final location? Yes. When it comes to a total displacement, it doesn't really matter how you got there. What matters is where you start and where you end. Now, let's take a look at this. What if a person were to walk 2 meters to the right and 5 meters to the right and then 3 meters to the right? Compare that to walking 2 meters to the right, 5 meters to the right, and then 3 meters back. In which case, would an object experience the greatest total displacement? And in which case would an object travel the greatest total distance? Think about that for a moment. All right, so the total displacement is represented here by the delta x total. And in this case, it's going to be 4 meters of total displacement. But in the above case, hopefully it's clear, it's going to be much more. We're going to go to the right 2, to the right 5, and then to the right 3. That takes us actually to 10 meters of total displacement. So direction matters when it comes to displacement. And that's one way to tell that displacement is a vector, because direction matters. So, which one's greater? This one. But for which case below would an object travel the greatest total distance? So when it comes to distance, the direction doesn't matter. What matters is how far you travel. So let's add them up. The person will travel 2 meters, then 5 meters, and then 3 meters. In this case, that's 10 meters. But in this one below, they would travel 2 meters for the first leg, 5 meters for the next leg, and then 3 meters back. But it doesn't matter what direction they're going when it comes to how far they've traveled. So I hope it's clear here that the distances traveled are actually the same. And so distance is a scalar. And one way to tell that it's scalar is direction has no meaning to the quantity. So distance is thought of as how far an object physically moves. The concept of distance requires that distances cannot be negative. They would only be positive. And typically we'll represent distances with the variable d or s. The reason s is used is because distance traveled could be a curve. A scalar quantity can have a value in a unit, but it would not have a vector direction. One way to tell if a concept is scalar is vector directions wouldn't make sense to the concept. And that would definitely be the case when it comes to distance. It is possible for some scalar quantities to be negative, though. Some scalar quantities, such as distance, can only be positive. Length, width, and height are examples of distances, and those would be scalar quantities. Now, one other important way to tell whether a quantity is a vector or not is vectors can have more than one component, and we'll get into that in future videos. But for now, consider an object that moves from xi to xf in this axis here. Is the distance the object travels path dependent or path independent? And then, is the total displacement of the object as it moves from the initial to the final positions path dependent or path independent? Think about those for a moment, and then I'll give my answers. All right, so in one case, an object may just move straight from the initial to final position. If that were the case, then the distance and the displacement would be the same. But let's assume that it doesn't travel that way. Let's say that it goes to the right a little bit, comes back, and then goes forward. If that were to happen, does the path you take affect the total distance traveled? And the answer is yes. The red path is longer than the green path. So it matters how you get from the initial to final position when it comes to calculating distance. For that reason, distance is path dependent. But what about displacement? We have a formula for it, actually. xi plus delta x equals xf, right? One of the things that's often done in physics is to solve this formula for the displacement. And now we have a formula for displacement alone, which says that it's a difference between the final position and the initial position. And so hopefully it's clear that only the initial and final position matters when it comes to calculating displacement. That means it doesn't matter how you get from the initial to the final position. The delta x in this case would be 5 units for the green. And for the red, the delta x would still be 5 units. You can calculate it by subtracting xi minus xf. So xi is 2, for example. xf is 7. So if we just do 7 minus 2, we'll get the displacement in both cases. And so displacement is path independent.